Welcome to the Peach Life podcast. I'm here today with Sarah and Eric from Bona Fide Bus.
Oh,
Hello, guys. Thank you so much. I'm really happy you're able to join me. I've been kind of keeping up with your guys' channel since the very beginning, since you guys started. We got a plane overhead. Okay, I was like, is that a foghorn or a? That's cool. Are you guys close to an airport?
We are very close to an airport.
That's cool. Well, I mean, yeah, I imagine a lot of times industrial shops like this, like with the bus right behind you, a lot of times they end up being in places that are close to, airports, industrial areas like that. So,
Yep,
makes sense. But like I was saying, I've been keeping up with you guys since the very beginning. You guys have even been traveling, doing some traveling real close to us here recently. I mean, anytime you guys have been in Tahoe, you guys have kind of been just like an hour and a half away from us. So it's been kind of cool seeing you guys do some stuff up there and some in a kind of an area that I'm familiar with and know. So that's been kind of cool. Obviously right now we're in the little bit of an unfortunate circumstance, but as far as, we can see the bus right behind you guys getting some work done. But as par, like we were talking yesterday a little bit, is, for life on the road, this is the reality. So sometimes having something like this might be a great thing to share and talk about and, give, the real lowdown on what it can be like sometimes. And it's not all, picturesque windows of the beach or the snow or the mountain,
Absolutely.
Yes. And it's definitely something you have to prepare for too, if you are going to live life on the road. And we did, we had a little nest egg saved up and we're mentally prepared if the bus were to break down at some point. So we're just happy we thought ahead a little bit.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people can end up getting into trouble a little bit like that, getting on the road and not quite thinking about those things that are going to come up along the way. For you guys, you want to get a little bit, I mean, we can just start right with the bus. So where are you guys at? What happened? How did, what's actually wrong with the bus and maybe some things you guys have learned along the way with this?
Absolutely. So we just recently did a trip up Highway 1. We started down in Dana Point and hugged the coast all the way up. Incredible trip.
It was so beautiful. We were just riding the highest wave the entire coastway up and having the time of our lives.
Yep. So we made it into Mount Bachelor and did a couple days of skiing. And I went to move the bus because I hurt my ankle doing whatever, snowboarding. And I wanted to be being a little
dumb, a little reckless.
Wanted to be closer to the like showers and areas. So I went to start the bus up after a couple days and go to turn it over and got absolutely nothing. It kind of sounded, from what I gathered from shops and sending them a video of the noises we were hearing, sounded like a starter. So we weren't too worried. And then it just so happens that this is the busiest time of year for towing problems going wrong in Oregon or maybe the country. Who knows? But there wasn't a shop. We called around all day. And
we were sitting there for 2 days calling people, trying to get somebody to take us. And they were estimating like, oh, we can fit you in June. We're like, well, we're sitting in the Mount Bachelor parking lot and we can't get to the store. It's 20 degrees at night. And go ahead.
Long story short, we got a call from a shop out of the blue. We were going to be towed to Eugene, which was about 150 miles from the mountain.
Because you guys are close to Bend, right?
Exactly. So we were trying to find a shop here. And just so happened we got a random call from a towing service who also has their own shop. They could get us in immediately. And then I was asking the question, can we stay in our vehicle while you work on it? Can you bring it outside? Or
crossing our fingers?
Because we were prepared for waiting weeks till they could even get the bus in to fix it, which we were coming up with all sorts of, different ways that we could go about that. But we got into this shop. They got it looking at it immediately. The starter was one of the many problems. But it ended up being the EGR. So we have the 2008 E450 6.0 liter, notoriously kind of a pain in the ass engine.
Mhm.
So a lot of people are familiar with the bulletproofing, which are preventative steps you can take to kind of button up the main issues.
Mhm.
And yes, what Sarah just did, the air quotes around bulletproofing, is what the guys here kind of explained it to us as the phrase Kleenex. You know, when you think of Kleenex, it's really a tissue, but the brand Kleenex kind of overtook that. Yeah.
It's like
That
a
concept.
slang term, and
Yeah.
depending on who you talk to, everybody has different ways of addressing it.
Yeah. So there's basically 3 to 5 components of that bulletproofing to take preventative steps. So it is that EGR delete, which was the issue for us. There's the oil cooler. There's
the head
head
studs,
studs, which we didn't end up doing because
we didn't need it.
our engine is sitting right here, and they said it's in great shape. So we are doing the EGR delete and the oil cooler, which they got in last
Mhm.
night.
So are these steps that probably almost anybody that buys one of these should kind of think about from the very beginning and say, like, you know, or at least have those certain components checked, like you said, like with one of them or two of them, maybe you don't need to do that with your particular exact one, but
Well, it's kind of tricky because in order to check them out, how they explain it to us is you have to really go in the engine and kind of take it apart. So it's a risk that you take when you buy that engine, which we knew we were taking, and something you just have to mentally prepare this. You know, you might end up in a shop for a couple weeks, and you should have some money saved aside in case you do have to do that.
and with this particular like size and engine, was it just that these are what's available right now? Or is it just a mixture of like they only make kind of these size bus with this particular model that we like with this engine in it?
Yeah, for us, we really wanted the Collins body, which is a little taller, not quite as round as the Thomas's. We knew what we were getting into with the 6.0, and we've heard, you know, positives and negatives. So they are more fuel efficient if you do the preventative steps. You know, you have a lot of power, and I don't think it was something for us that, you know, we were only going to do the 7.3 as the other engine, 2003 and prior, that is known as being more reliable. And I'm just talking Ford here too. I really don't know what the GMC you know, situation is, but
we've learned quite a bit this week. But yeah, the other reason we went with this bus in particular with this engine in it is the body, and then it had the extra door in the back. And yeah, when we stood inside of it and we had the extra headroom and the square walls, we just we knew we had to have it.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice for you guys being able to actually raise up the subfloor, add the floor there, and then with the ceiling, and be able to do both and not have to, you know, to do a roof raise is, you know, you're not going to get that with all models, you know.
Absolutely, and we knew we wanted to really insulate it. Just being in those cold environments, we will chase down those big storms, and you know, snowboarding is something we both love to do. So, and the mountains in general, but yeah, back one more thing about the bulletproofing, if I could say, you know, to those out there with the 6.0, we've been getting a lot of people, you know, asking us questions that have this motor. I don't think it's something you should do before anything goes wrong, because I would, you know, if you just take apart the entire engine and fix it all up, still little things could go wrong where those big pieces would have to come out. So in my 2 cents, I think the smartest thing would be wait till one thing goes wrong, which was the case for us, and then do them all and spend that little extra money, because the labor cost you're already going to be spending for that one unit that you need to fix. So just go ahead and pay for those extra parts and do a nice, you know, bulletproof.
Yeah, no, and I totally get what you're saying too, because we just recently, like a couple weeks ago, bought a new, like a new old as heck backhoe, that it's like the same thing. It's like I have all these parts, and in my head you're like, oh, I just change all these things out. But sometimes you run into more issues that way, where you just need to take it one step at a time. If it's fine now, don't just try to rip it out and put a
Yeah.
brand new one in. Cause you know, I've seen so many people tell me like, hey, a lot of times you end up running into more trouble that way as well.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah. And
And this whole experience has been kind of as we've been had more time to think of on it, kind of a blessing in disguise, because before we broke down in the Mount Bachelor parking lot where, you know, there's food and lodging and showers if you need it, we had been in just the middle of nowhere with no cell service, and we were, you know, in a sense lucky that we broke down, because we broke down there. And then on top of that, we just so happened to, you know, get a shop that was willing to let us sleep in our bus in the shop. They have bathrooms here, they have a shower here, they even have some laundry that they let us throw in. And they've just all been very kind and hospitable throughout this whole process. So had it happened anywhere else, who knows where we would have landed, and if we would have had to spend 2,000 more dollars on a place to stay.
yeah, you imagine these days, probably over the last, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years, that's become a thing now of buses that need repaired, actually needing, you know, living in them, and you know, kind of having that question. So shops are probably getting that quite a bit now. You know, hey, can we kind of just stay in here? Like,
Yeah.
what can we do? Yeah.
And they totally understood, you know, we don't have any family or anything close by, and they totally just took pity on us and offered what they could. We're like, yeah, you can stay here, it's not going to bother us any, so
Huge
make
blessing.
yourself
That's
home.
easy. Yeah, you guys really like lucked out with that, and that's
Yeah, absolutely.
so. How is that looking? Are you guys like a few days away from it being done, or do you guys what's your kind of plans going forward looking like?
Tonight or tomorrow morning is what
Yeah.
it's sounding like. Yeah.
So we're pumped. We've just there's only so much for us to do here, you know. So we've just been feeling kind of lethargic. We've been killing time just going on a bike ride, going on a walk. We went to Walmart and walked around for like 2 hours just goofing off, because like we said, we went from that high where we were just traveling every day up the coast, and now we're just kind of twiddling our thumbs trying to find some kind of entertainment.
Yeah, I imagine it'll be like a, you know, a relief to kind of hit back on the road again, but also to kind of have maybe some of those issues that were in the back of your head, maybe a little buttoned up, like, hey, you know, we got those little parts taken care of.
Absolutely,
yeah.
yeah. Jinx.
The other thing I was gonna mention too earlier when you said about when you broke down was like, it really goes to show that in those times having that secondary vehicle, whether it's like a little like
Mhm.
scooter Vespa on the back to a car, like whatever, it can be a lifesaver in those
Totally.
times. So for other people out there, like, you know, you see what, you know, whether you can just put something tiny or you can tow a little vehicle, it
Mhm.
could really be a kind of a lifesaver for people in those moments.
Yeah, especially
Even
if we were out in the boonies somewhere. I mean,
even a bicycle, you know, if you can bike 10 miles or whatever until you get cell service, that's a really good point.
Yeah. Yeah, some that just anything, yeah, anything to be able to get yourself, because you know that's like us as well right now, is when we're on the property until we get the internet connected and then to connect the cell to that, like there is no service. So it's kind of always trying to do that, as well as, like, you know, make little trips back, you know, over to like the store that's a couple miles away to like just get service check, make sure things are okay. But you know, you in today's world, you kind of have to think about that cell service problem, and because everything is so reliant on it.
yep.
Yeah, it seriously is.
Yeah.
Well, for you guys, you know, what, you know, kind of, let's maybe go back now to like before all this, like before you ever decided to get into bus life, you know, kind of where did that come from for you guys? How did you guys kind of narrow that down as to kind of
Sure.
the life choice you had decided to take for a little bit?
Yeah. You want to take this one? I
Um,
feel like you.
Sure. So in college, I studied environmental studies, natural resource management, and a huge emphasis in a few of my classes was just talking about tiny living and minimalism. And I had always, that kind of opened up a whole new world for me of, oh, you don't need a huge house. You can live modestly and still be happy. And like a lot of people, just found schoolies on YouTube. And then we started dating, and we both love traveling. And we started out traveling, car camping. One of our first big trips, 2 months into dating, we took a huge road trip in his old Jeep and just slept in the back of it. And we just really fell in love with doing that together. And once things got more serious, we moved in together, and then COVID happened. I lost my job, and we kind of just looked at each other one day and we're like, this is the time.
Yeah.
Now or never, this, even though everything's happening, maybe this is some kind of sign, and we just dove in.
Yeah, I love seeing so many of those stories that I've talked to people that was just that little, all it took was that little bit of shift to shift to their normal everyday life for them to go, you know what? Things are already changing anyway. Let me make this other jump while I can.
Absolutely. It was totally like another one of those blessings in disguise, and it just gave us that push.
It seems like that's a trend, on your podcast, is hearing people, this happened, so we just said, let's do it. And for us, that thing was COVID, and, kind of realizing that, Sarah wasn't working. I lost a lot of clients. We had a lot more free time on our hands. And, we were to the point where we were worried about not making rent and, thinking 3 months in advance and, or more. And it was just the time we started looking and found this one.
And we're young, but life is still short, and we just want to spend our time doing what we want to do.
Yeah. And you like you guys said, when you have those little bits of changes and you're just like, I mean, obviously it sounds like you guys had already had a little bit of an inkling of what you guys wanted to do. So just making that jump. So when you bought the bus, from the moment you guys bought the bus till the moment you guys were living in it, about how long was that?
That was about 6 months, but we didn't start working on it until, about 3 months after we bought it.
Yeah, we still had our lease to finish out in San Diego, and we were living with some of our closest friends, so we weren't going to just leave them stranded. And so it took us about 3 months of build time to actually live in the bus.
Okay, and where'd you guys do the build at?
My parents' house,
which is in Michigan.
In Michigan, yeah. So we bought the bus in San Diego. We bought it in San Francisco, drove it back down to where we were living at the time, and then brought all of our roommates back to Michigan with us in the bus. We did a whole road trip with them, and then we started building. And
oh my gosh.
Sorry, there were some birds attacking. But yeah, so once we got back to Michigan, we just started building immediately, and it was like every day 10 to 12 hours just researching, manual labor, just trying to do whatever we could before that Michigan winter set in.
Yeah, I imagine that trying to beat that was kind of ridiculous, because I mean, I've never been there, but from people I know, my sister lived up in that area for a long time. It is just it gets ridiculously cold.
Oh yeah.
Imagine you guys were on a real time crunch. In 3 months is a ridiculous amount of time for just a couple people to finish a bus.
We didn't realize that really until we started meeting other schooly people, and kind of paying more attention to how long other people's builds took. But 3 months, yeah, that's pretty fast.
Well, we also had those 3 months where we had bought the bus, so you're in it to prepare. And I had the solar broken down. We had budget broken down. We had, our layout pretty much dialed. We did a lot of research and a lot of forward planning. I think we even had parts waiting for us at her parents' house,
Okay.
different components when we showed up, and we were
Yeah. So
ready.
being ahead of the game like that, that's one of the things we've actually been doing over the last like 3 or 4 weeks is since we knew we were going to be building, the cabin up there within this year, we've been on like the lookout for basically all the inside stuff, everything from flooring, fridge, microwaves, ovens, stoves.
Mhm.
Because we knew in advance, we've almost paid nothing or like a tenth of the cost for stuff, like even stuff like that's brand new from like Habitat for Humanity. So we've probably furnished the entire inside or almost the entire inside of like an 800 square foot house for like $1,500.
Wow,
Rather
that's
than,
awesome.
it takes usually like 15,000, 10 to 15,000 worth of stuff. So just being on the lookout in advance and knowing what you're kind of planning for can just make the price and the price and the time, because that's usually
Yeah.
where you're trying to mix. So by, you guys setting yourself up in advance, having the plans, having the components, having things already there. Now with COVID being kind of in the middle of that, how was some of that with shipping and getting things? Because that was
Yeah, that was tough.
Yep, we definitely had a lot of delayed shipping. We tried to minimize, our trips to the store as much as possible too. We were buying in huge bulk, and then at the end, we'd return a bunch if we had to. We just would overbuy, and thankfully we live in a pretty small town, and
Yeah, my parents' house was a 5-minute drive from a huge what do you call it?
Menards. It's just a hardware chain out by us.
If
but-
you guys have Menards, but a home improvement store. And yeah, we bought a bunch of stuff, and when we were done building, we returned everything, and I think we had like what, $500 worth of returns.
that
And-
doesn't surprise me at all. From building this thing, I know that like afterwards, I probably had a couple $100 just of stuff that I decided not to return because I knew I needed again some like different insulation stuff from some different like that like roof tar paper, just a bunch of different stuff that I knew I'd need again probably pretty soon. But yeah, so some of those things I just bought like the biggest roll, knowing I'm
Yep.
over and over. So now, did you guys have any building experience going in?
We had zero electrical, zero plumbing. I wouldn't even call it carpentry
Yeah.
experience.
We
I had
both took wood shop
rough
in high school.
rough building experience. But yeah,
Pretty
YouTube,
much
man,
no,
as
nothing.
we've heard on this so many times, YouTube is just school. You can learn
Yeah.
anything. I mean,
But you should beware of who you listen to on YouTube. But yeah, it's a wild resource now. There's so much information.
Yeah, there really is, and I love for each kind of component. I mean, it's getting so detailed that like even if you need RV, electrical, solar, you know what I mean? Like you can get like 3 steps down and not just like electrical advice, but you can get specific RVs, sometimes down to even your own model.
Yep.
Same thing like I was talking about with that tractor. Like I wouldn't know anything I was doing if I wasn't able to find a bunch of people with their old videos, their own YouTube channel kind of showing their process. And I'm like, oh, that's, okay, 1 step down. Now I know how to do that, and I would have had no idea without YouTube. So
Yeah, we had this we had this vision before we started building that we were going to document everything on film, what we were doing, and then make kind of a series on it.
how to,
and that completely went out the window
because we didn't know how to do most of it.
And I give so much credit to all the schooly people out there who do
Everybody,
the
yeah.
step-by-step how to building processes, because we just didn't have the patience for it. We were just
And we could get halfway done with it and have to go back, take 3 steps backwards. And yeah, I think there's kind of a 2-pronged thing with YouTube, right? There's the how-to informational, but there's also like the motivational people. Like we would watch people just to kind of get us motivated to do something. And Yeah, we loved that part of it too, just getting motivated, getting inspired, and then also learning from it. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
It's really funny that you say that, because when I built like this, like it's a, you know, the studio that we're in, we planned to do the same thing, that it was like we're gonna film, and every week the whole part of the process we're gonna have and we're just in such a time crunch, and I was trying to get it done before I knew I'd be getting close to have to go back to work with COVID. I had like this break that it was just like the closer you got to the end too, it's like less and less video. You're all like so crunched doing 12, 14-hour days, that like you look back and you're like, oh, there's times there where like we were not getting as much video as we should have gotten.
Yep. If you want to watch our build videos, don't watch them to learn how to do anything.
At the end, it totally got to the point where we were just scrambling, and I'd just throw the GoPro up in the corner and
what I got, what is what I got.
Yeah.
Definitely secondary.
But I like that you said that, because for a lot of people, like they're not looking for a how-to. The only people looking for a how-to are the people that probably already have the bus or are real close. The other people, it's inspiring. Like you're trying to get them to that point where they're actually thinking about doing it. Like, oh man, those people, they were young, they did it, they were able to do it in a couple months. Hey, maybe we can do it. And that's what's I think is another component that is really important for other people out there, is to have people that kind of show that inspirational side of it.
Yeah,
definitely.
And that's what we were drawn to before we bought the bus, for sure. And yeah, got our gears spinning about this whole thing.
Yeah, with your guys's Murphy bed, how has that been for you guys? Have you found that you've used it much? Anytime I see somebody with a Murphy bed, I'm always interested, like how much is it actually used?
Sure. Yeah. For us, I think we started out doing it maybe 80% of the time, putting it up every day. But on this trip, it's only been up 2 days out of maybe 2 weeks. Just because if we know we're going to be driving a lot, we'll leave it down. It's just more comfortable for the other person. We can take a nice break in the middle of the day and both, lay out and do that. But our main reason we love it is just we have, bring a bunch of friends to the beach. We'll do like lunch in the bus or whatever it is, and
do our like day surf trips and mostly just it's nice to have for entertaining.
Yeah. And you're right. And with having it the way you do with the pass through, right, like there, when you do have it up like that, it does make it kind of just dependent upon the situations you're in, where times, like you said, where more people may be around, or whatever, you're at the beach, you're going to be going in and out all day, in and out, even in through, it makes sense to. So I could see, even if it's not one of those things that's 50-50, or that you do put it up every day, each trip may be a little bit different, each.
Yeah, definitely. Even though we don't put it up every day, I wouldn't change it at all. I love how it is. I love having the option, and just knowing that if we do have friends camping or something for a week and we all need to be inside the bus because it's raining or something, that makes it completely worth it and just more versatile.
Yeah. And another thing with getting on the road and kind of going from the stable home life with work and stuff, you said you had lost some clients. So were you doing were you working home before all this started, and so you were able to kind of have an easier transition? And what do you do? And
so I have a video marketing, content marketing company with a couple friends. We all moved out to San Diego. Sarah had got a job out there, and we were kind of already thinking of going to San Diego. So we, did this big company relaunch in San Diego, and thought that's where we were going to settle. And kind of right as we got moving and started kind of getting clients and everything, we got just COVID hit us really hard. And we still did have some work. So I was lucky enough to have a couple, partners of mine still be able to shoot the content, be there on the ground. They stayed out west, and they could ship it to me as I was building out the bus. So
Okay.
they would share what they shot. I would do all the post production, and that worked out amazing. Like it was pretty incredible how they were able to kind of support the business out there, and I would still be able to, you know, do my share.
Yeah. Are you finding that even as you get on the road, it's you know, it's not easy, I shouldn't say easy, but you know, able to kind of keep up with that, you know, that kind of work? And
Definitely. We kind of have a little home base down there in Southern California. We have a little spot that we're comfortable with in Orange County, and we love that, you know, day-to-day life. The weather alone makes this, you know, kind of living just so much easier. And we didn't feel like, you know, our time in San Diego wasn't complete. The whole West Coast, you know, lifestyle that we were kind of searching for this time in our lives. So we do spend a lot of time down there, and I will, you know, actively do the shooting and other things like that. But when we go on our couple-week trips, month trips, we can kind of fall back on that structure of them shooting and shipping me the content. And it's all great except for the Wi-Fi, because I have to send and receive huge files. So we're still figuring that out. But yeah, it kind of worked great.
Still asking Elon, can we put our Starlink on our RV? Like
That's
to fix that part next, which knowing him, he sure would, you know, he'll figure out a way to.
That's what I'm praying for. We were talking about that last night.
I know we're like a couple days away from ordering ours too. We just had to get like a final thing closed, and then we can order. I mean, I know it still, you know, takes a little bit to get, you know, to get it in, but that's something I'm super excited for. I can't wait to make a video about that when, you know, whenever we do.
So let me ask you a question. It's in progress. You can sign up for it, pay for it, and
yeah, like a lot of channels. I mean, I'm trying to think, even Trent and Alley, like they got theirs a little while ago, and they did like a whole setup and review. So a lot of people are getting them. It's just, when you type in your location, they'll tell you like how fast. I think from our location, it was like, I think by the time I ordered it, it'll probably be there in like a month or so. So yeah, it's already up and live. You know, people all over the world are already using it. I still think there was some question. I don't think it's quite yet usable with your rig, like a rig that's moving, but that shouldn't be any issue for them to figure out. You know, that seems like a minor technical issue with that.
Sure. Yeah, I know what I'm doing tonight. I'm doing some research on that tonight.
Yeah, but what have you guys tried to do? Like, as far as, are you guys using like any Wii Boost or certain types of cell boosters for your?
No,
we haven't done that yet. No.
Yeah, we've heard mixed reviews about the Wii Boost, so we're kind of hesitant to dive into that. But for the most part, when he has to send off a huge video file, we just go find Wi-Fi or go to a friend's house.
Yeah, the hotspot will not support what I can do or what I need to do. But you know, hotspot, we do Netflix and emails and stuff like that. And
for the normal day today, the hotspot is fine. But yeah, for sending off work and big projects, it's not cutting it.
Yeah.
Which, as long as you're able to kind of schedule those things and plan them, it's, I mean, you know, it's just like any other life. You still have work things, you still have priorities, you still, you know, if you can live 4.5 days, you know, out in nature where you want, and only have to spend a couple, you know, going around doing kind of the everyday odds and ends stuff, like, hey, great, you know, great for that. Or even like yourself too, staying with like a home base. I think that's such a massively beneficial thing is for people traveling. Like, if you can establish some kind of a really nice like home base, it makes, I think, life probably a lot easier. You know, anytime you're out, you're never that far away from kind of getting resettled back down for a little bit, you know.
And it's really, we have a lot of friends there that really make it, you know, home to us. So
yeah, what our day-to-day right now in our kind of home base looks like is we bought the California State Park Pass, and some people may not like this, but we bought the Universal State Park Pass. It was, I think, $195, $200.
Mhm.
And your unlimited state parks. They have, water fill-ups, they have bathrooms, they have coin showers that are great. And then you can go park
in some of the
along
most
the,
yeah,
yeah.
beautiful locations where you're right next to the water. And
yeah.
Yeah, California does have some really good resources like that. That's one I actually haven't heard a lot of people talk about. You hear about maybe a lot of the other ones, but as far as that, the California parks one, anybody, that spends any decent amount of time, and, there's a lot of traveling to do in California, it might make sense to do that. Now, is that per year? Is it 195 every year? So I mean, obviously you're going to have to spend enough time in California each year to make it worth it, but
right.
Yep.
Which for us, it was definitely worth the investment.
Yeah, no brainer.
Yeah.
have you guys went with any of the other kinds of ones out there, like Harvest Host or Thousand Trails, anything like that?
We haven't tried them, but we have heard good things about Harvest Host.
Yeah. I think we could definitely do that in the future, especially if we were planning a more extended, cross country trip.
Yeah, like a way to be able to kind of plan some of those areas and get your stops along the way that you can.
Yeah. We're kind of notorious for just picking out what we want to see during the day, though, and then just kind of winging it at
Just
night.
start driving and hop on iOverlander, freecampsites.net,
Yeah.
all the good things. And
we don't really plan
yeah,
to a T what we're doing.
we have a tow truck coming in here, so heads up.
For sure. What do you guys plan on doing right after you guys actually do leave here? Once you've given the keys to your freedom back, what are you guys gonna do first?
So I have a couple of big gigs that I do need to get back to in Southern California, but we might do a little detour and try to ride a couple days at Mammoth on our way down. But
I wanted to see Crater Lake as well. We're
yeah.
really close to Crater Lake right now.
Yeah, you guys, I don't know how you're so right on the way. You'd kind of be dumb not to check it out. That's probably one of my top 2 or 3 things that I still want to see. And being only like maybe 8 or 9 hours from it, that's probably my fault. I haven't seen it yet, but but yeah, definitely. And then getting to it's always hard too, as you're getting late to the end of the snowboarding season too, is like, this, if I don't take it now, that might be my last chance for the year. So it's hard to not take that opportunity if it's there, because there's not too many more weeks.
Nope.
No. We also we recently met our new friend Isaac. Schooliana is his Schoolie account. He's a great guy, and he actually offered to come pick us up when we were stranded in the Mount Bachelor parking lot and everything. So hopefully, if we do have enough time, we can go see him again. And yeah, we also have another friend in San Francisco. So we have a bunch of stuff to squeeze in before we have to get back for his gig, but we'll just see what we're able to do.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, yeah, I hope that you guys are able to kind of get that all taken care of and make it, to all those things. And
We'll
guys,
see.
nothing but the best on your guys' journey so far. And
Thank you.
I'll continue keeping up with your journey along the way. And when you guys are passing through Northern California on your way down, stop by and say hi.
Yeah,
Cool.
definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. This is Sarah and Eric from Bona Fide Bus. Where can people find you guys at?
At Bona Fide Bus.
Yep. Instagram and YouTube are our main social medias.
Sweet. It was awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sounds good.
Awesome.